I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for.
What it do, Dragon Ball Art family? It's your boy, Dragon Ball Art 92, and I'm back with another BAM reaction video. And today we'll be doing part 2 of the Moro Arc from Dragon Ball Super. And last time where we left off is Vegeta and Goku landed on New Planet Namek to face Moro for the first time. If you're new here, I sincerely want to thank you for coming by and enjoying content with us today. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit the like button today, you guys, so we can trigger YouTube algorithm. But with all that good stuff being said, let's get to the content. Ya dig?
Here, and that's when Goku went along to acknowledge this with Vegeta, with Moro looking down and commenting, "The one seeking me earlier has come to this planet." I don't know how he crossed such a distance, but it would seem he's here to apprehend me. With his pilot responding, "Damn Galactic Patrol, they obviously don't value their lives if they're itching to tangle with Moro," and that's when Moro leans on in trying to get a better look at what's going on. As he then proceeded to smirk, he then uttered, "This one has spectacular energy." And with Goku having to further explain the situation to the Namekians, the Elder went along to comment, "What? A prisoner escapee? And this fearsome fellow is headed our way? That's right. So you guys need to grab the Dragon Balls and run away." "Very well," says the Elder. "We're in your depth again." And with the Nameks having to flee, this basically sets up the idea that Goku and Vegeta warned the Namekians to grab the Dragon Balls and get as far away from the area as possible. And with Vegeta now beginning to sense exactly what Moro isn't telling Goku, "You're right. His chi is ominous, but not particularly battle-worthy. Is this truly the monster Maris warned us of?" With Goku having to respond,
"Where's your brother at?" "I don't know, I texted him."
Am I the only one that didn't know about this awesome channel, Dragon Ball Art 92? You gotta check it out. You know how I'm always training to get stronger and find new challenges? Well, I just discovered something amazing that you all need to see. It's the Dragon Ball Art 92 channel. These guys have the coolest reactions and discussions about all things Dragon Ball. Epic battles, wild fan theories, and even awesome fan-made content. It's like training your brain with super fun Dragon Ball knowledge. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and join the Dragon Ball Art family. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big adventure, so see you there. Kamehameha.
"Where's your brother at?" "I don't know, I texted him."
Hard to say. I've got a bad feeling about this. And eerily enough, as the ship touches down, we finally get to see, for the first time in Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 44, page 21.
You notice how Moro was talking about Goku's energy, like he has spectacular energy when he was doing all that, bro. It's because he eats energy, and it's obvious that he's excited to face Goku and Vegeta. I'm definitely wondering how this is going to play out, and if Goku and Vegeta is going to actually catch a W, bruh. Let's see.
How Moro finally steps off the ship and is confronted by Goku and Vegeta. But Goku and Vegeta have a very interesting demeanor upon them, because they never expected to see the person that they were looking at and having to look so old and having to look so jagged. And with Moro then having to raise his head up in the air and taking a breath, that's when Vegeta uttered, "Why, it's nothing but a feeble old man." With Goku responding makes sense given how long he's lived. And even as Moro then begins to catch his breath, he then utters, "My first breath of fresh air in 10 million years. As though I am born again." But what's even more interesting is noticing how the pilot immediately looked out the window and noticing Vegeta and asking, "Is that Vegeta? Why is he here?" With Goku asking Moro, "Hey, I'm guessing you're Moro, right? We hear you've done some nasty things, so how about you turn around and go right back to prison? But Moro completely disregards Goku's comments because as Goku was addressing him, Moro instead had then felt the presence of a child within one of the huts, and that's when Moro went along to grin because he knew that this was going to be the opportunity he had been seeking, and by then so easily having to stick his hand out and yanking the child out of his home, Goku and Vegeta are...
How he just snatched bro up like that without even being close to him? It's like he has some power dealing with magnetic energy or something. But even with that, you know, you got to be made of metal, right? So it must be some type of telekinesis. It's quite interesting.
Absolutely baffled because from there Moro is now holding a little Namekian child in front of them with Goku having to scream out, "Oh no! What's your scheme? Let him go!" with Moro responding, "Worry not. This one is merely food," as the other Namekians are panicking because Eska, the little boy being held by Moro, is now captive by him. Moro is looking now instead to eat the boy as a means of consuming him for his first meal, having to be out of prison, and with Moro holding this child directly in front of them, that's when Goku went along to utter, "Stop! Cut that out!" But instead of talking, what Vegeta winds up doing is he is the first person to take action in immediately having to charge on in and kick Moro's hand away to free the boy from his grasp. But of course...
Now that's different. Vegeta being the one to save somebody. You know, Vegeta usually sit back and watching the situation. Vegeta usually is battle hungry. You know, for him to do this, definitely showing the change in character. Let's get back to it.
This doesn't sit well with Moro, as Goku was absolutely shocked that Vegeta was able to do this because Vegeta, unlike Goku, who was very hesitant to do something, actually took action. As Vegeta went along to then look back, Moro went along to ask him, "You would dare interrupt my long-awaited meal?" With Vegeta responding, "I have a troubled history with these Namekians. I did them untold harm, so no, I can't allow even one more of them to perish. And they are most certainly not your food. Kakarot, let me take this one," with Goku responding, "Sure, but we still don't know much about his powers, so be careful." With Vegeta then jumping to Super Saiyan and uttering, "Huh, they say you use magic. Just try it," with Moro asking, "You believe you can apprehend me? Your ignorance runs deep." But Vegeta is not looking to waste time because as soon as Vegeta charges on in, the first battle involving Moro and our heroes is in fact with Super Saiyan Vegeta on New Planet Namek, and Vegeta is trying to do everything in his ability to get a solid hit in on Moro, but it appears that his Super Saiyan abilities are simply not enough to get the job done.
So even in this state, Moro is obviously faster than a Super Saiyan. So Vegeta going to have to step it up in order to give this guy some competition, which is good because it shows that it's not going to be an easy fight for them. But if Moro ends up getting away from this situation, because, you know, they're not going to stop until they get him, I wonder how is actually going to occur. Let's get back to it.
Done because Moro, although he is 10 million years old and in a very decrepit state, he's still very agile enough to move out of Vegeta's way and having to counter essentially everything he's doing, which of course from there Vegeta goes on to follow Moro, and everywhere Moro goes, Vegeta tries his best to attack him, and even then with Moro having to be shown kind of besting Vegeta in the area of speed and agility, that's when for the first time we get to see a little bit of a snippet of what Moro's magical abilities are capable of, because Moro ends up using somewhat of a gravitational-like attack that causes Vegeta to hit the ground beneath him, and as Moro then lifts up...
That's the word I was looking for, bro. Gravitational type of power. Gravity. He is utilizing gravity as a weapon, pretty much. Bro, that's cold, bro. That's cold, bro. Can you imagine using gravity to get an enemy, bro? Man, insane work. Let's get back to it.
Vegeta, he slams him back down, he picks him back up, he slams him back down, so of course he's using and manipulating his energy and kind of using this sort of like a telekinesis-like attack to where he's able to levitate Vegeta and slam him up and down, and that's when he winds up throwing Vegeta out into the distance. That causes Vegeta to go crashing into a nearby cliff, and with Goku having to acknowledge this, he asks, Special powers, huh? But then, through the cliffside, all of a sudden, a massive aura then erupts, which causes Moro to further use his cape as a shield in protecting himself to see what the heck is going on, and through the smoke and through the dust, we get to see how Vegeta finally taps back into Super Saiyan God, and having to ask Moro, shall we continue? Because clearly,
Bro, Super Saiyan God is one of the hardest looking forms in the Dragon Ball Super series, bro. Don't get me wrong, Ultra Instinct looked dope, but this red Super Saiyan form, bro, was the coldest artwork I've seen in a long time.
enough, at this point, Super Saiyan really wasn't going to do much, so Vegeta decided to step it up a level in using Super Saiyan God instead, and as Vegeta then goes on ahead to charge directly at Moro, what Moro attempted to do once again was further use his magical abilities in gaining the upper hand against Vegeta again, but this time, Vegeta is so cognitively aware, and he is so quick and so cunning that he is effortlessly able to duck, dodge, and move out of the way, and getting close enough to finally land a solid shot on Moro, who is, mind you, guarding himself during this process, but Vegeta realizes this and quickly breaks through his guard, and having to kick Moro directly in the chin and causing Moro to stumble on back, flip through and further land on his feet as he continues to stare at Vegeta, with Vegeta having to tell him, I was curious to see for myself what sort of beast could terrify the Galactic Patrol. How disappointing, and this really gets under Moro's skin, because what Moro ends up doing then is he tears apart one of the nearby trees, and he actually attempted to impale Vegeta by using this tree, but with Vegeta once again being cognitively aware, he blasts the tree.
That move that Moro doing remind me of the Ginyu Force when Gohan and Krillin was fighting. I don't want to butcher bro name, but I think it was Gordo or Goro or something like that, bro. The little short, chubby one that can freeze time when he holds his breath. Y'all know who I'm talking about, bruh. But yeah, that move that Moro's doing right now with the tree reminds me of that, because he also tried to use a tree to kill Krillin and Gohan when he was paralyzing them in the air when they couldn't move. I know y'all remember that.
Tree, sort of as if nothing ever happened to begin with. So Moro starts throwing more rocks, he starts throwing more trees, and Vegeta, with one single swipe, destroys everything that Moro had thrown at him, with Vegeta then telling Moro, we've come up against plenty of bizarre powers in our fights, so this is nothing new. As meanwhile, back on the Galactic Patrol ship, Jocko asks, what should we do? With the pilot asking, should we go to New Namek too? With Maris having to tell them no. Let's go back to HQ. Majin Buu's aid is indispensable, with Jocko responding, but Agent Maris, there's a decent chance that they've already taken down Moro. Those two are strong, a teeny weeny bit stronger than me even, with Maris responding, even so, it's very unlikely they will win. And as we then go back to New Planet Namek, Moro then begins to ignore.
So Maris must know something that they don't know, and I give Maris his credit, because he snuck up on Goku and Vegeta and laid them out with a ray gun, bro. A ray gun. So he obviously has some type of information on how strong they really are. And for him to say that they're more than likely not going to win this fight makes me think that Moro is more stronger than what he's letting off to be.
Acknowledge the fact that, okay, in this fight now, this is going to be a tad bit more difficult than I assumed it would be, so Moro then ends up tearing off his cape and having to ask Vegeta, you hope to witness my magic? As you wish then. Because this is what Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 44 was all about, in having to introduce us all to the overall concept of what Moro was going to be in the manga, and having Vegeta be the first person to take action against such a person like Moro, in the idea that even though Vegeta doesn't know anything about Moro, he's not going to sit around and chance this opportunity to allow someone like Moro to destroy the same planet of inhabitants that Vegeta once did a very long time ago. But we now enter Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 45, and this is where Moro's magic really does come into play, with Vegeta having to ask, what's that? You've been holding back, with Goku commenting, we heard about how you can absorb life energy, with Moro responding, oh? You're not entirely ignorant then, with Goku responding, just like how you tried that on the Namekian kid a minute ago, with Moro responding, this will be the same technique, but a different application. And with Vegeta catching wind of this, the pilot that brought Moro here went along to comment, Is Moro gonna use that same terrifying move he did when we broke out of the prison? Maybe I should put some distance between me and this fight, because the only person here on the current battlefield that seems to have somewhat of an understanding of what Moro's magic is the pilot that originally had brought him here. As we then go back to the Galactic Patrol ship, Jocko went along to then ask Maris, so this energy absorber move is the one to watch out for, with Maris responding yes, and it involves more than just absorbing a planet's life energy. The existing records indicate that he can wield the massive energy he steals from planets for direct attacks, and that's exactly what Moro winds up doing, because for the first time we get to see how Moro...
So basically he go use the energy of the planet to beat they, in short words.
is then beginning to manipulate the magic of the core of the planets. He's using the inner energy of the planet as a means of manipulation, and he creates these little walls of energy around him. As Vegeta went along to ask, what's this technique? In not knowing what Moro was about to do, what Moro winds up doing is lifting his fingers up, as of course this massive charge of energy comes dashing up from the floor up above on Vegeta and causing him to stumble back, and Vegeta really doesn't have a clue on what the heck is going on, as Moro went along to then tell him, with this move, I attack with the life energy of every planet we stand on. The magnitude comes not from my own power, but from the planet itself. And I must say, this planet Namek possesses exceptional energy. And then he goes on to further use this energy against Vegeta once again, because every single time Vegeta is...
So I guess a part of his power is the fact that he's connected to everything, because if he can manipulate the power or the energy of a planet or any life source, that means he's connected to the whole universe in some aspect. You know, or have some type of understanding where it puts him on a level to where he can be connected to the universe. It's quite interesting.
Trying to duck, dodge, evade, or even escape these massive blasts coming down from the ground, Moro is further using this opportunity and taking advantage of Vegeta by having to use this, because as soon as Vegeta winds up dashing up in the air, he comments, "Damn it, I guess I have to escape up in the air," with Goku crying out, "Vegeta! Be careful!" Because that's when Moro once again demonstrates the fruits of his magic by having to deliver all of the energy from the planet up above and having to catch Vegeta from behind. So Moro doesn't only use this as a means of having to exploit the energy by having it rise up from the ground. No, he could also bend this power to his will in allowing it to do whatever he wanted to, and even with the elders having to observe how planet Namek is beginning to burn, Vegeta is shown having to be thrown against the rocks. He's really having a difficult time in having to combat Moro's magic here, but then as soon as Vegeta charged...
Think about this, bro. Vegeta is struggling in Super Saiyan God, and Moro is old. He don't have all his magic fully restored. He's obviously getting back to it because he just smelled fresh air for the first time in 10 million years. Bruh, that's insane power. That boy was strong. No wonder why he gave the Grand Supreme Kai a fight. Let's get back to it.
Just right through the rocks, he winds up attempting to attack Moro, but Moro once again winds up shielding himself by using the planet's energy to his advantage and having to protect himself from Vegeta's attack, which momentarily stops Vegeta from attacking Moro any further. And with Moro having to be shown talking to Vegeta from the other side, he then comments, "It's no use. You cannot lay a single finger on me." And with that same shield that Moro just used to protect himself with, what he winds up doing is condensing this power as a means of now using it as a weapon, and now he's on the attack in trying to get the better of Vegeta, but with Vegeta having to move out of the way, that's when Goku went along to ask Vegeta, "Let me take a shot," with Vegeta responding, "Shut up, Kakarot. Just watch. Hey Moro, surely you'll reach your limit soon if you keep..."
I ain't gonna lie, Vegeta is one of my favorite characters in the series, right? But I don't think he's gonna win this fight, bro. It's looking like he's struggling a little bit too much in my eyes.
Using that move. All I need to do to win is keep dodging. Got it? With Moro responding, "This technique effectively has no limit, as I may use it until the planet itself is extinguished." "That can't be," Vegeta says. "Damn it, if I can't approach, I have no hope of recapturing you. And without any more power-ups, I'm at a loss." Admitting defeat, Moro asks, How gracious of you, with Vegeta responding, tell me one thing at least. What are you really after? Why come to Namek? With Moro asking, what use do dead men have for such information? With Vegeta responding, depending on your true goal, maybe you'd be better off not killing us. With Moro responding, haha, begging for your life now, are you? How far the Galactic Patrol has fallen. You do seem more knowledgeable about this planet than myself. And if you are agreeing to cooperate, I've come in search for something called the Dragon Balls. Thought so, Vegeta utters, as Moro continues. I understand that one must gather all 7. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, with Vegeta responding, sorry to say, I'm unclear on the details, with Moro responding, as I thought. You two are inconsequential. As he then went along to stick his hand out, Moro once again uses the planet's energy to go on to attack Vegeta with, but Vegeta this time actually managed to stop the blast in place and having to create this outer barrier that basically molded the rocks together after, of course, such intensity from the heat. But what made Moro that much more cunning than any other enemy introduced prior was the element of Moro's magic, as he winded up teleporting behind Vegeta and using his magical abilities to throw the energy directly at him. And with Vegeta beginning to get pushed back, he went along to utter, just tell me, what would you wish for? All this power you possess, isn't that already enough? Hardly, says Moro. At the height of my power, you would have been an insane.
Vegeta is smart, bro. He's playing the role like he's struggling in this battle just to get information out of him. Bro, that's genius, bro. And Goku's sitting back paying attention too. Both of them are very smart fighters, bro. I got to give them that credit.
Sect before me. And this entire planet, a quick meal. But such a
Here at Dragon Ball Art 92, we do reaction videos. Dragon Ball everything reaction videos. So if you're a Dragon Ball fan, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell notification so that way you can be updated whenever I drop a video. You don't want to miss out on the greatness here at Dragon Ball Art 92. Let's go.
As my containment has left me in a decrepit state. I see, says Vegeta. So you would wish to regain your full strength. Precisely, says Moro. Such is my goal. But then Vegeta went along to laugh and asking, really? You're just rotten scum, like they told us. Scum worth killing for sure. Now keep that in mind, as early on during Vegeta's first initial encounter against Moro, he goes on to make the confirmation that yes, Moro is in fact worth killing, and Vegeta then goes on ahead to use his Super Saiyan God powers in holding off the blast, as of course he then proceeded to transform directly into Super Saiyan Blue, some might argue even as Super Saiyan Blue evolution, and through this increased power state, what Vegeta winds up doing is blowing away Moro's energy attack by then having to have Moro be the one that's on the defensive and having to move out of the way, and Vegeta's strength is a testament of how far he's come because he went along to completely blow away everything that was originally right in front of Moro, and as Moro then begins to stare back down at Vegeta, he goes on to then ask, you were concealing this strength? With Vegeta asking, like you were hiding your true intent. But with Cranberry having to ask, what? Vegeta just powered up even more? Goku went along to laugh and asking, letting him get all cocky to get him to talk. Smooth move, Vegeta. And Moro gets angry because this entire time Vegeta was playing into Moro's hand just to get him to talk, but Moro gets incredibly angry and then having to use more of the planet's energy to his advantage in throwing that directly at Vegeta. But bear in mind, Vegeta at this point, even as a Super Saiyan Blue evolution based on the aura that's surrounding him, very similar to what he had used against Jiren during the Tournament of Power, completely negates everything that Moro is trying to do to him, because as soon as Moro launches all of these attacks at Vegeta, Vegeta ducks, he dodges, he avoids every single one of Moro's energy strikes only because he's faster, he's stronger, and he's doing it with such finesse.
Moro is damn near keeping up with evolution. Like, well, Jiren was just treating them forms like child's play, bro. Like, he overpowered them forms like it was nothing, to be honest with you. but Moro is actually putting up a decent fight even against Evolution. That's wow. I want to know how strong he gonna be if he get his power back, bruh. They really gonna have problems. Yeah, dig.
That he's seemingly gliding along the attacks with Moro having to look up, Vegeta eventually had managed to not only get Moro to basically jumble up his attacks in creating leeway for Vegeta to find an opening, and as soon as he does, he winds up kicking Moro directly in the stomach, which not only rattles Moro's entire body, but Vegeta winds up kicking Moro so hard down onto the ground that Moro winds up flying in a nearby lake, and with Cranberry having to observe, he then goes on to ask, when did he get so strong? Yikes, if Moro actually loses, I'm headed back to the Slammer. And with Vegeta looking down and powering right back down to base form, the first person that seems to notice that something very weird is happening not only to himself, but to the surrounding environment around him is Goku. The trees are dying, he feels a bit weaker, and Goku is trying to figure this out because all the while Vegeta has his sights set on Moro, Goku's trying to figure out what the catch is here. And the second we then get to see how Moro rises up from the water, Vegeta goes on to taunt Moro and then telling him, I don't much care what sort of villain you are, but I won't sit by while this planet suffers. Which means you need to be eliminated, with Goku having to shout, be on guard, Vegeta! Something weird is going on! And with Vegeta putting this into question, we then observe how Cranberry takes off in his ship as he goes on to utter, I ain't going back, not to prison, this is my chance to split. And as Moro observes this, he quickly goes on ahead to take this opportunity to blast Vegeta by using his Ki Blast, and as soon as Vegeta notices this, he quickly goes on the defensive and having to block himself from these attacks, but then, as soon as he swipes away from the smoke, Vegeta notices how Moro is gone. As he went along to comment, where did that scum slip off to? With Goku pointing out and commenting, there, Vegeta! What are you up to now, says Vegeta, as they then notice how Moro is standing on top of a hill holding a massive energy ball in his hand. Vegeta went along to then continue, make that as big as you'd like. Your technique is useless against me now. And as soon as Moro smirks, we then get to see how this energy ball is getting bigger and bigger, and Vegeta is putting this into question all the while. Goku seems to be looking around because he seems to notice something very unusual. There's energy being drawn from the trees, there's energy being drawn from the ground.
So obviously he's collecting energy from the planet, and he's going to use that energy to get stronger, like we've seen in the previous episode when he was fighting the Grand Supreme Kai, and he actually took the life force from that one planet and ate it and got stronger. So I think he's basically doing the same thing right now. Vegeta better prepare, bruh.
From the Namekians, and even the Namekians are beginning to notice that something very weird is going on with their bodies. They're all beginning to drop off. So obviously here Moro is doing something to the planet that's affecting every living organism on it, with Goku then having to ask, shouldn't we just attack while he's charging up, Vegeta? And as soon as Moro charges up and holds above a massive energy ball above his head, he then goes on to clench his fist as the giant energy ball up in the sky is now reduced to a little tiny energy sphere in his hand. And with Goku and Vegeta absolutely shocked, this was the first time during Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 45, page number 38, where Moro then goes on ahead to eat the energy ball and consuming it to get stronger as an end result. And Goku's putting this into question. Vegeta goes on to utter he ate it. So this was the first time that Moro had went along ahead to get stronger as a result of consuming energy ever since the time of battling against the Grand Kai. And with Moro then having to look down, he then went along to utter, the first meal in a long time does the body good. With Vegeta commenting, I get it. That's how you go around absorbing energy. And with Moro then noticing how Cranberry once again is beginning to leave with the ship that he has, Moro then uses his finger to use his gravitational influence to bring Cranberry down, and as soon as Cranberry's ship then hits the ground, Moro then utters, calm your nerves, Cranberry. I shall not lose. Does he seem way stronger than before? With Vegeta responding, of course. This is why Maris was eager to recapture you so promptly. Why don't we just hurry up and settle this then? With Moro asking, oh? Try me if you can. And that's when Vegeta responds, you think your little boost was enough to surpass us? Super Saiyan Blue is still far beyond your scope. And that's when Vegeta went along ahead to attempt to transform back into Super Saiyan Blue evolution, but then, as soon as he tries to do it, nothing ends up happening, with Goku asking,
Trump card. So basically, he absorbed their energy too. And he was basically kind of mentioning that throughout this little duration of time, that Goku was feeling funny, everybody was feeling funny, that something weird was going on. Basically, he was robbing them of their energy. Now they can't even transform. They really about to have a problem. That's a crazy move, bruh.
well, go on. Probably can't beat him unless you go blue, right? But Vegeta is eerily enough calm as he responds, indeed. This is no time for games. As once again he tries to go Super Saiyan Blue, nothing ends up happening. As meanwhile back on the Galactic Patrol ship, Jocko went along to tell Maris, I see. So the planetary energy that Moro absorbs includes the life force from the plants and animals on the given planet? So he doesn't even have to attack Goku and Vegeta to weaken them? Have I got that right? With Maris responding, yes. This foe is capable of stealing.
So basically, it's like a reverse spirit bomb in a sense. But instead of using the energy as a bomb, which I'm pretty sure he could, he's absorbing the energy. Goku did that in one of the Dragon Ball movies. I think it's the one where he faced, I don't know if it was Broly, or it was one of those movies where Goku absorbed the power of the spirit bomb inside his body. Let's get back to it.
Away his opponent's energy while fighting. I don't know much about how those two go about their battles, but they challenge Moro without knowing all of the facts. And as we then go back to Vegeta and Goku, Vegeta is absolutely floored as he went along to utter, I can't turn Super Saiyan. Right, thought so, Goku says. He's been absorbing our energy too! And that's when Moro quickly found his opening in charging right back down and grabbing Vegeta by the face, and as soon as he winds up pushing him back and then having to throw Vegeta up against a pile of rocks, Goku went along ahead to shout Vegeta's name, as of course neither Goku or Vegeta at this point could even go Super Saiyan to begin with, and with Moro then having to observe, he then laughs and commenting, you were already aware that my magic robs a planet of its life energy, weren't you? Naturally, that included a healthy portion of your energy as well. To borrow a phrase from you, I was hiding my true intent. So Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 45 establishes the narrative of Moro's magic.
So I guess I was right. Vegeta ended up losing at the end of the day. There's no coming back from this, bruh. If he's already absorbed their energy, and they're already weak, there's no more fight to be had. You know what I'm saying? So he basically got the victory, but I'm wondering if he go kill them. That is the question. But we're going to end the video right there today, you guys. I want to thank you guys for coming by and checking out the content today. Make sure you always work to be successful in life, because don't nothing come to a sleeper but a dream. So it's time to wake up. All right, man. And like I always say, believe in yourself, because ain't nobody else gonna do it, bruh. Dragon Ball Art 92. I'm out, y'all. Peace.
I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful, and I know exactly what I'm here for. I'm too positive to be doubtful, too optimistic to be fearful. So all my time I spend cheerful,